Economics, where I teach economic concepts in a span of just 5 minutes. The topic for today is everyday economic terms. So we come across so many economic terms in our daily life while reading the newspaper or while browsing through news on the app. Terms like GDP, FDI, payroll tax, and some of us are pretty new to this. And this is what today's video is going to be. I've compiled few of these economic terms. So yeah, let's get started. So our first term is fiscal deficit. It was quoted in a newspaper as, "Not a time to worry about fiscal deficit," said the finance panel chairman. So what exactly is the fiscal deficit? Fiscal deficit is the shortfall of government's income over the government's spending. When the fiscal deficit is large, the government has to borrow heavily because of this shortfall. So coming next to non-banking financial companies, or commonly known as NBFCs. So NBFCs are pretty much in the news lately, and one recent headline which I read was RBI flags fresh liquidity concerns for NBFCs. So basically NBFCs are entities that provide us bank-like financial services, but they do not hold a banking license. Two major differences between a bank and an NBFC is that NBFCs do not accept deposits like a bank does, and secondly, they are governed under the Companies Act 1956 and not by the Banking Companies Act. So our next term is payroll tax. Newton says no payroll tax cut in coronavirus relief bill. This was a headline 2 to 3 days back only. So basically payroll taxes are imposed on the employers and employees and are usually calculated as a percentage of their salaries. A payroll tax cut would free up more cash in the hands of the employers and employees, which would benefit them as they will have more cash to spend, and which would curb a recession. So next we have gross domestic product, commonly known as GDP. It was used in a newspaper as pandemic to bite deeply, GDP to shrink by 6% in the financial year 2021 report. So speaking by definition, GDP, or the gross domestic product, is the finished value of all goods and services produced within a country in a specific period of time. It is a very important tool and it provides an economic snapshot of the economy. It helps in the estimation of the size as well as the growth rate of the economy and is widely used by decision makers and policy makers in a country. So our next term is foreign direct investment, or FDI. After FDI, Chinese companies now face curbs in getting government contracts. This was the headline of the front page on just 24th of July. So basically FDI, or foreign direct investment, is an investment in the form of controlling ownership in a business in one country by an entity based in another country. An example of FDI in India is IKEA. So IKEA is an FDI investment in India by a Swedish organization. So the next two terms which I'll be taking up together are export and import subsidy. And these are the two pieces of news which I found. WTO panel rules India's export subsidies illegal, upholds US's case. Secondly, India not giving a subsidy on imported ammonium sulfate, said the WTO. So basically export subsidy is a government policy given by the government, of course, to promote the export of goods as well as to discourage its sale in the domestic market. And basically it's done to promote the exports, and because of this export subsidy, the domestic consumers tend to pay up more than the foreign consumers of that good. Secondly is the import subsidy. So an import subsidy is a very rare phenomena. It is a support by the government to the imported good, and because of the import subsidy, the price for the consumers of that imported good is very less because it is reduced due to the implication of the import subsidy. Our next term is goods and services tax, GST. Big relief to GST taxpayers, late fee on GST returns capped till July. This was quoted in a newspaper. So GST basically is the value added tax levied on goods and services sold for domestic consumption, and GST is basically paid by the consumer and is remitted to the government by the businessman who sells the good or the services. And GST is of 4 types: central GST, state GST, union territory GST, and integrated GST. So the last two terms which I'll be taking up together are duty and tariff, which are often confused and misinterpreted. So these are the two pieces of news which I found. Dispute panel against India's import duties on ICT goods likely on Japan. Secondly, telecom tariff hike inevitable. 2 rounds of increases likely in 12 to 18 months, said EY. So basically, duty is an indirect tax imposed by the government on the export and import of certain goods and commodities, whereas tariff is a form of direct tax imposed by the government on the import and export of certain goods and commodities. So yeah guys, that's all about it, and I hope you really enjoyed this video, and in case you want such videos in future as well, do let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like my video and subscribe to my channel, and hope to see you in the next video pretty soon.